Assalamualaikum, dear students. Uh, I'm sorry I couldn't complete my previous lecture. So due to some technical problem. So let's start it today. It's now open your book at page number 47. In the middle of the page, top of the page rather. Fix a date, he begged. We know Rajkumar Shukla, a peasant who had come from long way from Champaran to this place, who followed Gandhi wherever he went. He asked him. Gandhi had come to Lucknow to attend an Indian National Congress convention there. So many people, so delegates had come and visitors had come, and he had also gone there to tell him the story of the woes these peasants face in Champaran, because they are sharecroppers. These landlords or feudal lords, they lend their land to these peasants, and they get a huge chunk of crop, share of crop from them as a tenant, as a rent rather. So he asked him to come there and see what happens there, what type of injustice we face there. But he couldn't. He asked him again and again to fix a date. So that is the point here. Fix a date. He begged, he requested him. Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity, means his he was the man with resolve, and also in this man was being very firm. This man being very firm, and also the story Gandhi said, and the story, whatever story he told him about the injustice, the Gandhi was impressed by his this firmness, and because he followed him place to place. Only for one thing, that he asked him to visit there and give me the date, fix a particular date. I have to be in Kolkata on such and such date. Come and meet me and take me from there. I will be there in Kolkata. I have to attend some important assignment there. Gandhi said to this man, on a particular date, such and such date. So come there and take me from there. Means I will accompany you there from that place to your, from Calcutta to your place, that is Champar. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Kolkata when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. Okay, now months passed till that date arrived when Gandhi had to visit Kolkata, and this man was already there. He was on sitting on his haunches, means he was sitting on his these buttocks or thighs or hips, or this particular posture of sitting, and he sat there, and he waited till the Gandhi was free from his appointment, assignment, whatever he had to do there. He was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. Means he accompanied, Gandhi accompanied this Rajkumar Shukla, and both of them boarded a train towards the city of Patna. That is the capital city of Bihar. So dear Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of Congress party. There he led him to a particular lawyer, the Rajendra Prasad, who was the president of India, later became the president of India, and at them he hailed Bihar, and he led him to his home. There Shukla and named Congress Party and of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but unfortunately or fortunately, he was not there. He was out of town. But the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. Rajendra Prasad, his servants knew this man, this peasant, Shukla, because he was a yeoman, means he was a man holding and cultivating a small land. Yeoman means a man holding and cultivating a small estate, small land. So they knew him. They have already some acquaintance with this man. Why? He because he pestered their master. He troubled. He gave trouble. He annoyed or bothered their trouble. Means he was time and again coming to their master, that is Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and was seeking his help. Was giving him trouble to do some. So they knew him. This because he was a sharecropper, indigo sharecropper. Indigo means that particular crop, already I told you, natural dye is extracted from this plant, and this was cultivated in that area. And these people were the cultivators of this indigo crop. So his servants knew him, they recognized him, and uh, so they let him stay on the grounds with his companion. Asked him, well, you can stay there on the ground till their master arrive, and but on the ground along with the companion, that was Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. They thought he should be the another peasant. He must be another peasant who had accompanied him. But Gandhi was not permitted, was not allowed to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. They knew that they thought that he should be the of his cost, low cost. At that time, there was a cost system was prevailing in India in the worst form. So they thought he must be belonging to the low caste. So they did not allow him to draw water from the well, lest he should spill some drops of water and pollute the entire water. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? But they did not know that he was an untouchable. He belonged to the upper caste. Gandhi decided to go first at Muzaffar. Their next step was to go to Champaran actually, but he decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, which was on way to Champaran, because they had to go to Champaran, but on their way there was a Muzaffarpur. He decided to go first to Muzaffarpur. Why? To obtain more complete information about conditions than Shukla was capable of imparting. Shukla, whatever Shukla knew, he imparted that information to him, but he wanted to know more and more about the conditions prevailing in Champaran and there. So he wanted to get the first-hand information from and seek more information from other people in first at Muzaffarpur. So he decided to go to Muzaffarpur first. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani. He sent a telegram to one person, J.B. Kriplani, who was professor of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur. He sent him information about his arrival, whom he had seen at Tagore Shantiniketan School. You know Shantiniketan School in West Bengal. And there he had met him, this person, J.B. Kriplani. Gandhi knew him there, so he informed him about his arrival through telegram. The train arrived at midnight. They again boarded the train to go there. So the train arrived there at midnight, 15th of April 1917. Kriplani was waiting at a station with a large body of students, because Kriplani was a professor and he was waiting there at the station to welcome Gandhi, along with the huge number of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani. Some other professor, his name was Professor Malkani. He stayed at his home for 2 nights in Muzaffarpur to gather the information, all information about the Champaran peasants, about the indigo sharecroppers and all that. A teacher in a government school. This Professor Malkani was a teacher, was a professor in a government college. It was an extraordinary thing in those days, something special, something extraordinary. In those days, Gandhi commented this thing, that this was something special. What was special? For a government professor to harbor a man like me, it was something special that in government employed, a government professor would provide shelter to a man like Gandhi. Why? In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. These people who advocate the cause of home rule, who were against the Britishers, who wanted to freedom and self-rule and home rule, all these people who would advocate such things, but people who hailing from smaller would not, they were afraid to show sympathy for this. So this was something special, that under such circumstances some government employees would provide him shelter and all that. So it was something special. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of this his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. The news of Gandhi's advent, his coming to Muzaffarpur and there, this news spread like wildfire through Muzaffarpur and through Champaran. Everywhere this news spread. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by convenience to see their their to champion their cause, to champion sharecroppers' cause. Gandhi has come for that purpose there. So the people, the sharecroppers from Muzaffarpur, from Champaran, they had come to receive him there on foot, either on foot or by conveyance, means through these what's called the some transport, whatever was available there, they came there. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by convenience to see their champion. Muzaffarpur liars called on Gandhi to brief him. Muzaffarpur liars, these advocates, they came, called on, they met Gandhi to brief him, to tell him about the developments there. They frequently represent, why? Because they frequently, more often, represented peasant groups in court, because they have to represent them in the court in some lawsuits, and so they know their condition, they know everything. That's why they have come to brief him. They told him about their case, what type of case they have to fight in the courts, and reported the size of their fee, what amount they charge them. They told everything. That's why they have come. Gandhi chided the liars for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. He rebuked them. He chided them. Gandhi chided. Gandhi. Well, Gandhi chided them, the liars, for collecting. Chide means rebuked them. Rebuked liars for collecting big, to charge such a huge amounts, hefty sums from these sharecroppers. He rebuked them for that. He said, "Well, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. I have come to this conclusion, means I have decided we should not go to lawsuits, law courts to pursue our case. Why? Taking such cases to the courts does little good, because when we go to courts with such cases, that doesn't help us. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear stricken, law courts are useless. Those areas where these peasants are crushed by heavy hands or fear stricken, they are under fear, they are afraid of. The law courts cannot help them. So I don't think this is a right to go such courts for help with these cases. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Once they come out of the fear, this will be the real relief, because they are under the fear, they are under the threat all the time, they are scared. So it doesn't help them. First, they have to come out of the fear. This is important thing. Most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large states. Most of the arable land, the land that is farmable or plowable or cultivable, arable land means that which is cultivable, which can be cultivated. Most of the land in this district divided into large estates owned by Englishmen. But whatever the land is arable there, but that has been divided among the Englishmen. That's owned by Englishmen, English people, and worked by Indian tenants. And Indian tenants are working on those lands, on those fields. So uh, Indian tenants, the chief commercial crop was indigo. The chief crop, the main crop that is grown, that is cultivated on those lands, main crop that was indigo. We already know to where from the dyes, natural dyes extracted. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 320s, 20th or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. These landlords compelled, forced the tenants, these peasants, to plant 3 tenths or 15% of the whole holdings or whole land with indigo. They have to cultivate 50%. Land should be cultivated indigo, and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent, and they would like to get only indigo as a rent, the whole crop of the indigo as rent. This was done by long-term contract. So they have chalked out a contract, a long-term contract with these peasants, so that they can cultivate 50% the whole holdings, the all area, all whatever land is under. They have to cultivate this, and that has to be given as a rent to these landlords. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. But in the meanwhile, an information from southwest, from Germany had poured in that Germany had developed some synthetic indigo, means some color, natural color that was extracted from these plants. They had received this information. No, they can now make some synthetic this indigo. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. Well, now once these English people, these landlords, they came to know that now in Germany they can make the synthetic indigo, so they just got another agreement from these sharecroppers. Well, okay, we will release you from these producing 15% arrangement, but you have compensated. You have to give us money. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the peasants. It was very irksome job. It was irritating and annoying. Irksome means irritating and annoying job for these peasants. Again, new arrangement. Now they are not bound to produce the 15% indigo. Instead of that, they have to give them compensation. They have to give the money, and many signed it willingly. Many, a huge number of these peasants were cultivating. Some of them signed this agreement willingly. Okay, we will compensate you. Those who resisted engaged liars, but there was another group of peasants who would resist this. They would not like to pay them any amount, so they have to engage the liars in the courts. The landlords hired thugs. They hired these thugs, who mean a violent person, especially criminal. Thugs means those people who are violent, who are a type of a criminal. Means instead of using police or instead of going to court, these people would engage liars. The landlords hired thugs, means to threaten them, to frighten them, to somehow manage to get the money from them. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed it, and they wanted their money back. Actually, they had not the knowledge about it that some synthetic indigo was produced in Germany. That's why these landlords, these English people, released them from their agreement not to produce 15% indigo, but instead give them some compensation. But now this information came to the common people, these peasants as well. They knew that some synthetic this dye is indigo is being produced by Germany. So they demanded they wanted their money back from these people, because they knew that they have been cheated. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. Means this time, when this whole news came to the people of the surroundings that some synthetic indigo is being produced in Germany, that's why these people, these landlords, backtracked from their agreement. Instead of this, they demanded some compensation, and some people who were willing to give them. Now they, when they came to know this thing, they agitated. They asked, they sought, they wanted to get the money back from them. And at that juncture, Gandhi arrived there. I think this is due for today. With this, I conclude today's lecture. Khuda Hafiz.